On the Listener app and on your radio, this is Triple M's Rush Hour with JB and Bill, and Damian Barrett's in the studio to chat round 10.
Wrapping up the weekend of footy.
Get Purple in here and discuss footy.
This is Damo's recovery session.
And starting with the bads today, Purple. You're flipping it on its head.
Yeah, I'd like to be positive because Bill has has an accusation of me, and I've created a stigma out of it too by being negative. So, but we need to today though, Jim and Bill, because of the match review office having some baffling, some mind-boggling, some confusing outcomes out of the weekend. For those who haven't caught up with it, there's two players who they have given 2-week bans for. Those two players, being Nick Holman of the Gold Coast Suns and Lockie Plowman of Carlton Footy Club, will take those cases to the tribunal, and I'd expect them both to be thrown out. But it's confusing, Jim, from a point of view that Nick Holman tackled Mitch Duncan and was awarded a free kick for the tackle at the point in time. So the umpire thought it was such a good tackle, it's a free kick for you. Match review says no, it's 2 weeks. It wasn't a dangerous tackle the way we have come to know what a dangerous tackle is in the eyes of the AFL. It was just a run down from behind, Bill, wasn't it? And in some respects, it was all he could have done in those circumstances.
That's all he could have done, exactly. It was a beautiful run-down tackle. Mitchie was running along the wing, took a second long, and it was from behind. It pushed him forward. Obviously, Mitch went off, and he probably won't play next week, so I suppose. But they're saying here it was assessed as a careless tackle. It wasn't. It was a really good run down from behind tackle. So they've got to appeal this one, Damo.
Damo, this is what Duck says and has been saying now for 3 years. It is all about the outcome. Yeah. If Mitch Duncan bounces up and has no problem physically, there's no charge.
No.
So why are we allowing the result to dictate,
there's obviously
the sentence? It's ridiculous.
A fear for down the track litigation pertaining to head injuries, and that's all part of it, and it should be. But to that point, it's just wrong to determine the Holman tackle a careless conduct in terms of the action.
Different if you're elbowing someone in the head, or a big roundhouse sort of spoil that belts up. That's different.
If you are doing the second motion in the tackle, but this was all from behind. It was just a clumsy, it's a football accident, as it was in my eyes anyway. And some people might have a different view on this one to me, Bill. But the Lockie Plowman coming and contacting Jager O'Meara at the MCG on Saturday. So. Again, split-second football accident
the ball was
situation.
Right there when they came together.
And you called
ball was
it.
In dispute.
Again, just back going over it, umpire himself on that point in time said, play on, nothing to see here. The match review says that's worthy of 2 weeks. So you've got one group of officials in the AFL system saying, free kick for Holman, play on in the Plowman incident. You've then got another group being the match review office saying both of those incidents are worth 2 weeks. And then you've got the tribunal, which will have another set of eyes on it, another set of expertise being applied to the situation. And the last two cases that have gone up to the tribunal, Bailey Fritsch and Taron Thomas, have both been thrown out.
Taron Thomas was one of the more ridiculous suspensions or weeks I've ever come across. But again, with Jager O'Meara, and this we're not. If people are listening, we're not criticising Jager or Mitch Duncan.
No,
but if Jager bounces straight up, you don't. It's a football clash that we all love because it's a brutal, tough game and all the rest of it. And no one thinks twice about it. So, again, it's result-driven.
And if people are listening to our views now, and we seem to be all on the same page, which is unusual in itself, but we've all, independently and collectively, spoken critically of head incidents in the past not being addressed properly and seriously. So we are not linking those issues, though, with these two matters right in front of us right now. These are, in my eyes, pure football accidents. It's a contact game, and there is also, Jim, an awareness of any person who plays it, girl, boy, man, woman, knowing that when you do step over that white line, such matters can happen. There's an acceptance of it.
So
it's not thuggery.
For me with this one, Bill, the second one, different if O'Meara had possession of the ball and Plowman came in and elected to bump, then we've got a different set of circumstances. But the ball arrived at the exact time the two of them made contact with each other. It's just a footy incident, play on. I don't get it.
It was an accident as I saw it, but the only thing Lockie maybe could have done is put his hand out to spoil the ball, to punch the ball away.
Yeah, Bill, I mean, yes,
being
I know what you're saying. He did make contact with an arm on the ball. But again, he's making this decision at the absolute split-second moment he realises that he's going to be contacted by O'Meara. So, I mean, I think he's entitled in that instance, the way I read it and saw it, to protect himself as well.
How does a team that won a final last year lose in round 10 by 117 points?
To that same team, 111 points.
11, whatever it was.
Having won an elimination final last year. It's staggering, Jim. 4 of the St Kilda teams' losses this year have been by 9 goals or more. So that's damning in itself. They've got 6 losses in totality. They've got a couple of injuries, but injuries that shouldn't be shaping their season to the detrimental way that it is. And we've had a captain in Jack Steele coming into the system, and he's been good, by the way. So I'm not actually blaming or apportioning any blame to him, but he went public, didn't he, early in the season? We're not going to accept this. We're not going to cop and tolerate this. So he said that. Brett Ratton, the coaches, said the same things on the weekend. There's only so many times you can make these statements so strongly publicly before all hell breaks loose, and that's where they're at.
Well, 14th on the ladder, Fat. They've only got Gold Coast, Collingwood, Hawthorn and North beneath them, and no one saw that at round 10.
Gee, they were poor. They were poor. And the work rate. I know, look, there's you can get beaten by better sides, but if the work rate's not there, that is a big problem. So they were very disappointing, and those recruits just aren't working. They're just not gelling, are they?
No, they're not, Bill. No, they're not. And when Brett Ratton says they're going to bring some players in, well, you don't need to go too deep into their VFL operations to realise that there's no one's knocking the door down in that sense, Jim, that's going to come in and change the situation.
West Coast
just continues to disappoint. That they loathe the flat track bully moniker that's been given them by some people, myself included, but they just don't do anything to shed it. Look, they will argue at 6 and 4 that may be about where they're meant to be, given they've had their own injuries, which are quite serious. But when they're coming up against GWS, and we'll touch on GWS in the positives, Bill and Jim, because they deserve a lot of credit for what they've done. But
totally agree.
When it comes to West Coast, if their big forwards aren't clunking them, and Darling had that purple patch the previous week, didn't he, where he kicked 5 goals in 17 minutes, and that was enough to get the job done against Adelaide the previous week. They didn't have that player or that impact on the week just gone against the Giants, and they're just they're very much an also-ran team unless everything is going right.
Unless they're playing at Optus Stadium.
Unless they're playing at Optus Stadium.
That's the also-ran bit. When they're there, like they play Essendon there this week, likely to win comfortably, and everyone goes, oh, well, they're back. But they're back when they play there. As soon as they get on a plane, and Freo are the same.
Yep.
I don't know what it is about the teams from Perth, because the other states' teams seem to manage to travel okay. But when the west sides come here, or go east, it's a 25% win rate.
I agree. We've pumped this team up so many times over the past 4 years that it's only right that we put them in the negatives with a bit of impact. Richmond, Jim, they're 5 and 5, and I'm referring more to the coach more than the actual team itself. He just cannot stop sooking it up at the moment. We had the I hate Marvel Stadium comments of the previous week. We had at half time the observations that the free kick count wasn't going their way. I just feel that he's just got to be better than that at these points in time. And it's someone who's used to success. It's someone who's used to control. But right now, they're not having the success. He hasn't got the control that he wants. Now, at 5-5, the season's not a write-off. And I've taken the view, Jim, that they are a team that can just get into the 8, be it 5th, 6th, 7th, and falling to the 8th, even in 8th spot with percentage only. They're still capable of winning a flag from that position. So I'm not going to rule them out. But at the same time, at 5 and 5, with murmurings, and there's still to wrap up officially the nightclub incident a couple of weeks ago. They've still got a player from that incident out of the team for an injury out of it. That being Shea Bolton and his wrists. Prester and Cochin could come back this week, but they're just not playing as well as they could and should be. They were belted by Brisbane.
Yeah, they will get really good players back, and I'm with you. I think they can mount something serious in the back half of the season. But as the great Lee Matthews said Friday night, instead of worrying about the free kick count, what they should be worried about is the slaughtering they were getting around the ball.
Yeah.
I mean, clearances, contested footy, they were bashed up by Brisbane.
They were.
So that's what would be causing Dimmer some concern, I reckon. And they will get those, Lambert will come back, Cochin will come back.
Preston Cochin, I think, this week.
Yeah.
Edwards is not, I don't think, too far away, but Lambert and Edwards will still be out for some time. Bolton should come back as well.
Yeah, so they're very important midfield components. So, but I'm with you. I'm hearing you. Anyone else before we?
Look, North went back to its pre-round 9 ways against Essendon on the weekend, and they were just leaked like a sieve, didn't they? Down back with what the Bombers put up against them, and here we are again. We get to this halfway stage of the season, effectively with just the one win to this point, and it's a long road home for that particular club right now.
All right, we get positive next, Fat. So listen up.
Wow.
It's the rush hour, Triple M. James Brayshaw and Billy Brownless. This is Triple M's Rush Hour, and Damian Barrett is in to talk positives from round 10.
Where are we starting?
I want to start with the Crows in the positive section today, having become the first team in 2021 to knock off Melbourne. They did it well. They got off to a nice early start. The Melbourne was off its game ever so slightly, Bill. Not drastically, but enough to give the Crows a chance and a feeling of being a chance. And then what I liked most about what they did, they then were 16 points behind, as we know, with 7 minutes to go. And then the big Texan, who I think you're going to speak to tomorrow, aren't you, on the rush hour, managed to kick 2 of the final 3 goals of the game and did it in true Texas style, didn't he? With just a beautiful kick of the football when it came to that pressure moment. Look, they've been good most of the season, haven't they, the Crows? They've capitalised on what they displayed late last year when they got 3 wins late in the season, which came from nowhere. It was proof they were on, at least in their minds, the right track. And to get to this stage of this season, 4 wins, 6 losses, that's where they're at. But they've now got 2 of those 4 wins against good teams that will finish top 4 in my eyes. Melbourne being the most recent one, and way back in round 1 against your boys, the Cats.
Sliding door moment late in that game when Clary Oliver, who was unbelievable in the second half, by the way, had the bounce, ball didn't come back to him, and then Petrarca turns it over. They go inside 50 and score. That's the end of the game. The game is finished. So that's how fine a line it is in AFL footy. They get scored on against immediately the other way, and then, as you say, bang, bang. But I thought Adelaide, I thought they were worthy winners because they kept taking risks. They kept backing themselves. You can so often go into your shell fat in those situations, and they didn't.
That's right, but also they had a bit of luck, which you need luck to win those games. So well done.
You're talking about the deliberate out of bounds.
The deliberate out of bounds, and then maybe also a free kick with that one where Tex marked the ball. That could have been holding the ball easy. Yeah,
I think it was. When you're talking about the one with Keys, aren't you? Where he just took the tackler on and I think effectively dropped it. But look, I don't look at that as though it shaped the match in terms of there were mistakes made before that point, weren't there, from both teams? And look, even had the free kick been paid for a deliberate out of bounds, which it should have been, there's absolutely no other way of looking at that. It doesn't mean Melbourne kicks the required goal to win the game.
But it would have been good then because it's there now overtime. I love the whole overtime thing. But anyway, well done to Adelaide. I agree. Who else?
I want to throw GWS in there too. We sometimes just gloss over what they do because they're a little bit off Broadway at the moment, aren't they? But being off Broadway's really worked for them this year. They had this glitz about them when they had that surge back in 2019, didn't they, Bill? But they've had to do it in a tradesman-like manner in this year particularly, and it's worked for them, hasn't it? I'm hearing your man Stevie J's having a big impact there as an assistant coach, and just attitudinally as to how he's shaping this footy club, finding ways to get it done. And what they did against West Coast was really impressive. They've got almost no forward line outside of Finlayson, who was good with the 3 goals, but each of these guys got 2 goals each, Jim. Tom Green, Hill, Sproul, and Flynn. That's crucial to where they're at.
Sprouler.
Whitfield's been really good since he's come back in, and Mumford is never going to be best on ground, but he's going to be so important.
Leon Cameron, Coach of the Year for mine to this point.
Really?
If you look, have a listen to this, Fat. Yep. Cornelio, Daniels, Davis, DeBoer, Green, Haynes, Keefe, Kennedy, Perryman, Reed, all unavailable to be selected. They are all comfortably in their top 15 players. So to get your team into the 8 at this stage of the year, when you've got all of those people you can't pick, I think Leon Cameron has been magnificent.
Well done. Also, their backline, and Damian, this was Sam Taylor, who had that illness and has been outstanding along with Buckley. But Connor Iden is a Geelong boy. I don't reckon I've ever heard him talk. He played with Oski, mate, and he was a very good player down there, played at fullback. He's good closing speed, but he didn't speak then. I don't reckon I've ever heard him interviewed or anything, but he's been good for the Giants down back.
Yes. Essendon needs referencing here too. They've got themselves to 4 and 6. They did it with a very good win against North Melbourne. It was expected, absolutely, but when 2-metre Peter Wright's kicking 3 goals and looking dominant, you're doing something right as a team. Parrish has just continued his extraordinary form since being allowed to start as a ruck rover or a starting midfielder at least, largely through Dylan Shield being out of the team. Merritt's putting together a really nice season. Their recruit, who's already no longer a secret, but Nick Hind is so important to them down back. Their back line, it's good enough, isn't it? In fact, it's more than good enough. I mean, we saw what Ridley did last year. He's not yet reached that form that got him at best and fairest last year, but He's so crucial. Redmond's putting it together a nice year. Laverty's good. So I really like what they're doing. We don't need to talk about the kids anymore. We've talked about them every single week. Perkins, Cox, Jones. They are all impacting, Jim, and they're doing it with a freedom that they weren't able to do under, it must be said, under John Worsfold's coaching. They are now under Rutten.
I didn't see any of that game, but I agree with what they're putting together. The Brisbane Lions, for me, are playing the best footy in the comp. Six in a row they've won now, and the way they're playing, geez, they're good to watch, I reckon. They've got good, skilled players that play footy the right way.
Well, they're getting better. Each week they seem to be getting better, but they brought in a couple of boys. The boy Coleman, he can play. He was very good the other night.
Good late.
Yeah,
and the Irishman too in his second game.
Yeah.
Don't know about his kicking, how he drops it, but he was very good too. So they're a very good side.
Yeah, they really were. We can't not talk about the Bulldogs in the positive sense. 111 points. Their percentage is through the roof. 167, I think it is. And
Friday night.
Friday night. How exciting is it to have Melbourne, the town, being propped up by this great game?
They start favourites in that game, the Dogs. For me, no doubt.
In my eyes too. Yeah, I'm with you. I'm keen to see what the actual charts do look like. But yeah, they are just firing, aren't they? And for someone like a Cody Waitman to go first round draft pick 2019, play a handful of games last year, show enough to know there's a real future there, to have to wait until round 9 in his second season to get a game, comes in, kicks 3 goals. Every second game in 2021, he kicks 2 and just looks at home, doesn't he, in that forward line?
And Damo got a bit of spunk about him, hasn't he? We had him on the Sunday Footy Show yesterday. Good boy.
Really good. Yeah, they love him down there, and they've managed him close to perfectly.
We mentioned in the bads last week, I think it was, Fat, the goal kicking of, I believe, the competition's best player in Nate Fyfe. But, geez, when it mattered. Didn't he just get the job done? I love that about champions.
Yeah.
You know, when the game's on the line, if you're a champion, you step up and win the game for your team.
Well, you want the ball for starters, and he always does. And that's what he did for the Dockers against the Swans, Jim. That ball, I don't know how it went through late, but to your point, he didn't die wondering, having a shot at it, and it rolled through, mongreled through, and well done, because, look, I've questioned the Dockers. I know you do as well, but that was a good win. I mean, Sydney, people still got doubts about Sydney Swans. I don't have any doubts about them from being a top 8 credentialed team. And look, we saw Rory Lobb play one of his better games. I just wish and hope for his and the Dockers' sake that he can now put it together, because he's never, ever shown continued and sustained consistency over the 2 clubs that he's played at. I hope now that he finally can.
All right, Buses.
Spot on. Hang on, just quickly.
I know, Fat, go.
Well, it's talking about champions. Buddy Franklin, he's played 2 games at Optus Oval over there in Perth, Jim. He's kicked 6 goals and 8 goals in the 2 games.
Perth
14
boy,
goals.
Feels comfortable at home.
He does.
Hasn't lived there for about 25 years.
Damo didn't say anything about Brandon Starcevich, the bloke I found that'll be all Australian.
I'm
glad you raised that again, Jim. On AFL.com.au 2 Wednesdays ago, out of nowhere, I highlighted this man's work in a graphic form and a video form. The whole industry's now picked up on it, and Bill's trying to claim it, as he does.
Have a listen to Fat.
He came in yesterday to the Sunday Footy Show and said, I want to talk about how Brisbane Lions prepared for Dusty Martin and the arm chops, because he heard it off somewhere else.
Yeah. Oh, that's exactly what he does.
I do a bit, you know.
You've been doing that for a long time, Fat, haven't you? You're stealing people's stuff.
Well, where does Damo get his from?
Own research and own contacts, Bill.
Bullshit.
Right, buses.
Well, actually, on that, I'm going to send the bus down the highway.
Good.
Down to the Cremorne.
Come on. You're getting a bus at the Creamy.
Good. And I hope you're not on it, for right?
Did I hear, as we let Purple go, did I hear a couple of cricket royalty wandered into the Creamy?
Oh, yes, the other night. Ronald McDonald, of course, the coach.
Ronaldo,
super coach. And also Finchy, Aaron Finch.
Yes.
With his lovely wife, who's pregnant too.
Yes.
So look out there. She used to work at Triple M, of course. But you know what they had from top to tail? Geelong footy gear on. They obviously been in the club.
Full nuff.
Jim, sort that out.
Full cat nuff.
Beanies, jackets, the scarves. I said, Finchy, just don't talk to me for a minute.
Well,
Go and put a jacket on.
If he had all that on, Fat, he looked like you. Nice to see you, Damo. Thanks for dropping in.
Cheers, Jim.
Damo's recovery session.
This is the Rush Hour with JB and Bill. Bill's joke not too far away. But up next, we're going to talk Eurovision and what's trending unusual.